I figured if I was going to the Oscars, this is how I would look. Simple, elegant and beautiful, but definitely in a sari. So, hi everyone, I'm Sangeeta Angela Kumar and it is Oscar season, and I know there are many mixed views on the Oscars. But I was very excited this morning because I saw the nominations and I was like, oh my gosh. Especially since I've seen a lot of these movies this year. So I can vouch for a lot of them. And since what to watch happened in November, but it didn't happen that much in December and Jan, like I've just been watching these movies. So I might as well talk about them. So here are, I've always wanted to do this. So here are the nominations. Okay. Here are the nominations. So I'm generally excited about this year's Oscars. I mean, I was excited about the Golden Globes too, and I watched it, and it was amazing. A lot of the shows I went back and then rewatched. A lot of these things are available on Netflix and Prime and other streaming platforms. I still don't. I keep saying streaming devices, but it's not devices. So yeah. So here are the Oscars, and I'm also going to share with you who I think should win. It's not a prediction, but I just feel like it's really important for these people to win. Of course, I'm not always right, and the films that I think are amazing are often like made fun of. But I'm still going to share it with you because I'm really excited about, especially Jojo Rabbit. So let's get started. In the supporting actress category, I think Scarlett Johansson should win supporting actress for Jojo Rabbit. She was amazing in the film, and yes, many people were probably heartbroken, but spoiler alert, but the fact is that she represents everything good, everything great about being a mom. She's entertaining, she's funny, she's brilliant, and her character is just pure and pure good, and everything that represents good in a time of war. Not just for her performance, but I think just in terms of purely as how her character was written and then executed, I think Scarlett Johansson should win this supporting actress award hands down. Of course, the nominees are really amazing. I have to admit, the nominees are amazing. However, it's just, let's just let them say it's a joy to be nominated. The only reason I am saying that Jojo Rabbit should win the costume is because of the role that the costumes play in pushing the narrative. Okay, so yes, obviously you can tell that I'm a fan of Jojo Rabbit, but the fact is that I have never seen a movie where the narrative moves with a shot of the costume. Now, for those who've seen the movie, spoiler alert, to communicate the death of a mother with the shot of a shoe I have never cinematically, I've seen Schindler's List, I've seen all the classics, I've studied film in so many ways, I've grown up with movies, but never have I seen a movie that uses costume to really express the emotion and the drama. So for that, and just for those reasons, that scene with her shoe and her son discovering it, that scene for me would deserves the Oscar. But of course Oscars aren't given to scenes. I wish Archana Puran Singh could be like, kya scene hai at this time, but no, definitely that for that scene and how the director used costume to kind of express thought and drama. For that reason and that reason only, I think Jojo Rabbit should get the costume award. Now, Ford versus Ferrari and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, both I would say are very keen contenders for the sound editing, obviously because there's so much scope and potential in that. So I can't really decide between the two. The same goes for sound editing. Of course, Star Wars joins in this category. I guess we'll have to wait with bated breath, because between these films, I think all the films really did well with sound editing. I should know, I'm like an editor, just kidding. Well, yeah, I can't really decide between these. A lot of effort goes in the original soundtrack, and of course, looking at all the films in this category, everyone did a very unique spin on the music, and everyone was excellent. However, I feel like Marriage Story again, the beauty of the film was in the music and how the track moved. Again, I would even go to say the music was a part of a separate character in the movie. And I know I'm getting really into it, but I really would think that Marriage Story should get the Oscar for the best original song. Both live action and animated, I really didn't. I mean, the films that have been nominated for the Oscars, I actually haven't seen any of them. I did watch my dose of cartoons, but I haven't seen these, plus the documentaries and the short films. The documentary film category and the international film category, I actually haven't seen any of the movies. I hope to see them, so I can't really comment on that, but here are the nominations. I'm giving some music. Now you will be biting your nails for the best supporting actor category, because it's Tom Hanks, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, Brad Pitt and Anthony Hopkins. I feel like all of them should win the award. I mean, it's really hard to decide, but yeah, I feel everyone should win this category especially. But they were really good in all their films, and I know in India, just to make everyone happy, they would give everybody the award. But of course, this is the Oscars, so I can't commit. I'm Indian. I just want to give all of them the award. Maybe it is because in Endgame she died. I don't know why, but 2019 was the year of Scarlett Johansson for me. There were two movies that I really took home with me, and I took really personally, and there was an impact that happened in my life, and both had her, and I mean all three actually, even Endgame had an impact, but not the arty kind of impact, but Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit both were films that I really they resonated with me, and so you would hear me recommend them for a lot of awards. In terms of production design, I would still, of course all the nominations deserve it, but again I would say Jojo Rabbit, because again the way they communicated the spaces with the narrative was brilliant. The door in the house that stands out, it's different, eclectic, a little bit like her character. So I think the makers of Jojo Rabbit really put a lot of effort and thought into including costume and design and set design into the narrative. So I would really recommend Jojo Rabbit for that. For adapted screenplay, of course, the nominations are amazing, but Jojo Rabbit was also in my opinion, it stands out of all the films, mostly because it is such a beautiful comment on how we should be living our life. Literally dancing our problems away. Hello. The best original screenplay, I would say, should go to Marriage Story, because it was just, again, the narrative and the way it was scripted and the way it was of course executed, but the deep script, even that song,
Someone to hold you too close, someone to hurt you too deep, someone to sit in your chair.
I'm going to gush about this a little bit, but he sings a song about how he's so happy he's single, and he sings the same song with the same lyrics. It's a part of the script, but in the same way, but it's tragic, So I felt like the screenplay just took movie to another level. So that's why I think this movie deserves the award. Now, many make fun of The Irishman because it was very long, and I agree with most people that it was really long. There were many things that I could have edited. But in terms of editing, I feel Irishman still, even though it was really long, it was a hard film not to make into like 3 hours. But Irishman, I would say, out of all the films in this category, deserves to win because just the way it was edited into, like, the narrative was, the jumps, the time jumps, all of it was fantastic. So in terms of editing, I would say The Irishman gets the Oscar for the best editor goes to Irishman. In my opinion, of course. This is purely my predictions and opinions based on what I like. So, cinematography was excellent this year. Of course, like most films have great cinematography, but I do feel like even though I wasn't fond of the Joker. I'm not one of those who's crazy about the Joker because I didn't like the movie, but I really like the cinematography of Joker. I love the cinematography of Irishman too, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I can't decide between the three. In terms of Joker, each shot was very like dark and Instagrammable, so it would have resonated with a lot of millennial crowds. So I don't know who's gonna win, but I would again, like, everyone should win. These three really stood out. The award for the visual effects has to go to Endgame, hands down. Not just because I wish they were nominated in more categories, but definitely in terms of, like, if Scorsese is saying that Endgame is not really a movie, fine. So then in that category, in terms of a visual treat and a crazy thing of getting so many movies together, so many characters, so many movies into one, there has to be something that they take home. So yes, I think Endgame gets the Oscar for this. I wish they were nominated for more, but then again, there were so many other good films. So I saw Bombshell. It was nice. It wasn't as bad. Like, it wasn't as great as I expected it to be. But yes, in the makeup category, hair and makeup category, at first I thought maybe Joker should get it because it really, the makeup really brought out a darkness to the film, which was kind of brilliant. However, when I saw Bombshell and I saw the way they had presented these three women was amazing. And so for that, and for the prosthetics and the art and the way they kind of tuned, especially Charlize Theron's face to look like the anchor, I forgot her name, but hands down to Bombshell for makeup and hair, totally. So finally, I'm not very happy with the animated section, like, nominees, because there were so many films that were nice, and I feel like Golden Globes had a very nice representation of the animations. So I would actually give nobody the award for animation. I can't believe I'm saying that because, again, I'm a crazy animation person, but I'm not really happy with the nominations. However, unlike the nobody gets the award for animation, the original soundtrack for animation I would totally give to Into the Unknown. It is my ringtone right now, and I just can't get that song out of my head. So Into the Unknown. When it comes to the lead actor, I know that everyone will think it's the obvious choice to give it to the Joker or other movies, but I personally, and this is just my take, would give it to Leonardo DiCaprio because I know Revenant was great, but it takes a lot to be so subtle and act I don't know, he did a really great job in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Lead actress would again be hands down Scarlett Johansson because it took a lot for her. I mean, I won't comment about what it took for her to do it because she's a great actor. But one thing I loved about the film was how effortlessly she was emoting through the makeup. Like, she had no makeup on and she was crying and emoting and expressing, and just in terms of performance, I would say it's easy to play this loud character that's famous, and get, I don't know what, like, Renée Zellweger did to her face to kind of look like Judy, but I personally feel performance-wise, Marriage Story with Scarlett Johansson gets the Oscar, and the Oscar goes to. But again, I'm not the person who is voting. I'm just commenting on YouTube. Like, I don't really matter, but it doesn't matter because I still feel like Scarlett Johansson should get the Oscar. When it comes to Best Director, of course, everyone is excellent in this category. But I would give Martin Scorsese this award, and it's not just because he's Martin Scorsese, duh, but it's also because the film was good and the way it was directed. I mean, it's a lot to direct. The kind of actors that were there, it's not just, we're not even talking just of Al Pacino and Robert De Niro here, Joe Pesci, but just the sheer scope of direction that he did. He literally did an Endgame. I mean, I know it sounds really sacrilegious for me to say this, but he brought so many generations of great actors together in one screen, without special effects, without live action elements, without green screens. That does say something. So so I would definitely give the Oscar to Martin Scorsese. I don't know who's going to win, but I would give it to Martin Scorsese. And lastly, the Best Picture. Now, I am going to be completely unconventional here and say all the films should get them, because I feel like all the films were brilliant. I don't know who's going to win it, but I can't choose because it was really, really, all the films were just brilliant. So I do have a what to watch recommendation in terms of the Oscar season. Up till the Oscars, you should watch Marriage Story, Jojo Rabbit, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Irishman, and Ford vs Ferrari.